The NCAA could be on the verge of filing for bankruptcy if they do not soon settle with the House. In the looming House versus NCAA case, there is a settlement on the table worth $2.7 billion. Now, granted, that is a lot of money, and it's not going to be something the NCAA wants to pay. But as put by Ross Dellinger, if they reject a proposed settlement offer, officials from the NCAA and power conferences stand to face a catastrophic $20 billion price tag in back damages, as well as risking a bankruptcy filing, according to documents obtained by Yahoo Sports. The way that Dellinger unpacks this is if that $20 billion price tag is tabbed on and the NCAA is liable for that, then bankruptcy is probably the only move for Charlie Baker and company. The settlement, per Dellinger, believed to be in the final stages of adoption, consists of three main concepts. And this settlement that moves it down to $2.7 billion is still much less than $20 billion, but will affect you, yes, you and your school. Dellinger. The concepts, three concepts of the settlement: billions in back damages, a new compensation model permitting schools to share as much as $22 million annually with athletes in a capped system, and an overhaul of the NCAA scholarship and roster structure. The one that I will circle first there is that $22 million price tag. Here's where we start talking about whether or not we kill off the back end of the Big 12 and how we move forward as a conference and whether or not the conference can stay alive. That $22 million price tag, in essence, will be the NCAA telling its member schools, hey, you have the opportunity to pay your student athletes a maximum of $22 million a year. You can choose to opt out of that, and if you do, you will die. Or you can pay them less, and if you pay them less, that's also not a good thing. That's going to really kill college athletics as we know it, even more so than realignment, quite possibly. And maybe the thesis of that, you read that and you go, that's not good. That's probably not good. And you read and you go, oh, wow, the NCAA is getting sued and is going to lose at least $2.7 billion in this settlement. And if they don't settle, they're likely going to lose in court and have to pay $20 billion. And that money, guess where it comes from? A portion, colleges. Like the NCAA can't keep doling out big sums of money to the schools they usually do. I mean, power schools could lose $1 or $2 million a year from the governing body of college athletics. That poses the question that I think a lot of SEC and Big Ten officials, at the very least, have been asking for a while, and that's, what are we doing here? Why are we still in the NCAA? What is the point of hanging around this governing body if we could kind of just go over there and do it ourselves? The desperation from Charlie Baker, the president, and others has been apparent for close to a year now. You'll remember, if you're an everyday listener, that maybe 6 or 8 months ago, he mentioned that, hey, what if we had the kind of this almost quasi super league, like teams that could afford this revenue share of $22 million per year for their student athletes could make their own big super thing where you create your own rules. He almost created a playpen for the big boys of college football and says, hey, the grounds are still owned by the NCAA. Like we still are over you, but this playpen over here is your playpen, and you decide what you get to do over there. That is a move of desperation. Charlie Baker's trying to cater to the major conferences and major powers of college athletics that are not himself to ensure that these schools stay put and hopefully stay happy. But how do you stay happy when you hear, like if I am Arkansas, and I say, I can pay that $22 million, sure. Why am I losing $1 million, $2 million a year because of revenue in the next 10 years because you lost $2.7 billion or $20 billion? The NCAA is consolidating its operations by $18 million. Like, business isn't booming for those guys. And it's actually hurting Big 12 schools, maybe even more so than a lot of the SEC powers. We'll get to that later on in the show. But if you're Arkansas, you look at that and you say, I don't think we have to do this. We can just go over and play with somebody else. We're one of the big boys. I think we're going to be okay. And we're not like in Alabama, so those schools certainly don't have to worry about too much of the money side. But, hey, we still do, and we don't think we like this. Let's just try to not. And if you're a Big 12 school, if you're Iowa State, you look at it and you go, okay, so you're telling us we're losing $2 million a year in revenue from the NCAA. You're going to cut our salary by $2 million for just being a part of your organization. And not only that, you're also going to charge us $22 million a year to pay the student athletes. If we don't pay that $22 million, then we're not a part of the upper echelon of college athletics and we're going to inevitably die. That's not good either. The business model not being there. That's the first thing you understand, is that business is not booming and the model is not there. And the second thing is, with that, I don't know how much longer a Brett Yormark or a Greg Sankey or the athletic director at Arkansas is going to sit there and say, yeah, we'll keep doing this. We'll keep putting up for the NCAA and we'll make it work. No, there isn't enough to hold on to latch onto with the NCAA for these guys to stay put. Documents specify per Dellinger, perhaps for the first time in writing, the total amount in back damages owed to athletes for the use of their name, image, and likeness before the NCAA lifted NIL prohibitions in 2021. That amount is $2.776 billion. The NCAA, he says, is responsible for paying the amount over a 10-year period, roughly $277 million annually. 60%. 60% of that $277 million will come from a reduction in distribution to its schools. Hey, I am Texas Tech, Kirby Hocutt. You, NCAA, made a mistake. You, NCAA, got sued, and you lost. And now we're the ones having to pay for it. You were not forthright enough in all of this. And now power leagues are anticipating a reduction of $1 to $2 million per year in distribution, according to the document. So that's, the craziest part is like the 2.7 is still large, but as Dellinger notes, the documents say the tab will be significantly larger, again, 20 billion plus, and the timeline significantly shorter with a loss in court. The document outlines settlement pros and cons and offers alternatives. If the settlement is rejected, if the NCAA loses in court, for some, an expected outcome based on previous legal results, and the estimated 20 billion is in damages that would be payable immediately and not over 10 years. So it's pay $20 billion now or settle out and pay your $2.7 billion today. And either way, it's not good. That's not good for the teams and the schools that are out there. And the money that's not going to go to the member institutions, the NCAA member institutions. Oops. Sorry. NCAA did bad. We'll fix it. The government will. Coming up, Brett Yormark is great. Thank God for Brett Yormark on Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by Monopoly Go. Look, I love the classic Monopoly, and I play it as much as I can when I'm around the campfire with friends. We always bring the old board game. However, if I'm on the road, which I often am with the Savannah Bananas and Party Animals, I have to play Monopoly in a different way. I play Monopoly Go. It's game off for a second as we pause to talk about Monopoly Go. I know I've already talked about it a lot this week, but it's because I like it a lot. Unique stickers that you can trade with friends to complete big albums for big prizes are available for you right now, as well as cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with. Hilarious emojis for taunting friends when you smash their buildings and heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique mini games like digging for treasure or a robot pachinko machine. There are always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. There's something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. Get off the bench. Go download it now for free on Google Play and the Apple Store. It's Monopoly Go. Game on.